Here's a quick look at all the tools you'll be required to install the AF1 Racing RS457 front turn signal integrator kit. There's a look at the finished bike. This is the front harness here. You'll see two streaming blue wires that are not terminated. They don't go to anything. That was just something we did in manufacturing to simplify the design drawing. As a matter of fact, these aren't used, and that's why you'll see me clipping them off here and here. Functionally, you could leave these on, and most of all the sets we deliver, we'll try to have cut these off already, but if for some reason you see those blue streamers, you can just cut them off or leave them as is. They're not required for the kit. Moving into initial tear apart and disassembly of the bike, we've got 4 fasteners on each of these inner shields here that need to come out, or perhaps inner fairing liners. I've dotted them with yellow tire marking paint just so they're more visible for the video. You can see I've indicated 2. This will be the 3rd. And one more will be hidden by the position of the handlebar here. We're turning it out of the way, and there it is there. That's our 4 screws that are required to take out the inner fairing. Same thing over again. It's a little bit overstated, but I just want to make sure we have an idea. So you can see 1, 2, 3, and we'll move the handlebar to see the 4th. There it is. So those smaller fasteners use 2.5mm Allen key heads. The larger one that go into the back of the headlight are the Torx 25s. Here you can see those fasteners have all been removed. 1, 2, and 3. Those are all 2.5mm Allen keys. Again, just another look at that. And then this one up here, this was the Torx T25. That's a coarse threaded screw, a bit bigger than the other 3. To grab this, you simply pinch it right about there. Kick the tail over of the panel over between the handlebar and the upper fairing, and just wiggle it out. Okay, now that this is pulled away, again, I've yellow marked our fasteners that need to come out. You can see a yellow I'm indicating there, a second one here, a third one that's very difficult to see that's buried much deeper inside the front fairing. We'll try to pull focus on that now, and you can just see it there. That's going to be your 3rd. Of course, you have the same 3 on the opposite side. We'll go ahead and show you those now. So we've got 1, 2 there, and a 3rd. This one's a little bit easier to see, thankfully. All right, now we're jumping ahead. Those fasteners have been removed. So again, 1, 2, and 3. Those are now gone from the left, and of course mirrored on the right. 1, 2, and 3, gone. Okay, now we'll move on to removing the mirror. We've got a 4mm Allen key on top on those Allen heads, and then these are just 10mm nuts here. They'll be pulled off. Pretty straightforward, no hidden fasteners on that one. Now that the mirror is away, we can begin to work on the turn signal wire. Turn signal wire is a simple single hasp retained 2-wire connector. Couldn't quite do it one-handed, but with 2 hands you can easily use a fingernail to lift up the retainer, and then it just pops apart. So that's what I'm attempting to demonstrate there. Okay, now for the most tricky fastener on the bike, we've got a pair of push-pin rivets, plastic rivets that go underneath the headlight. Again, marked in yellow here, you can see their 2-piece design. Well, you can't quite see that yet, but you will in a moment. So what we'll do with these is just to get a fingernail behind the mushroom head or the rose head of the fastener and pull that out. And you can see it's not threaded. It's just a friction retained piece. So once they're out, you can see that there's a rosed side that flares out, and then the pin itself, which expands those rose petals out to hold it in place. We've removed those from the underside of the fairing. Now to pop off the fairing, you simply kick in the 2 upper fairing kind of winglets there, and then just jiggle the assembly backward. And now you can see your wiring connector there in the middle of frame. A little bit closer look at that. We've got a red locking tab that gets pulled back. I'm just going to recycle it so you can see that hopefully a little bit better. Again, there. And then once we go to remove this, you simply squeeze on that tab that the red lock exposes, and it pops right out. All right, moving on, we can now slide off the headlight assembly. You can see that the headlight connector here, actually what goes through what appears to be the air duct. That was surprising when we first saw it, but that is in fact how it is. Now we can begin to offer up the headlight adapter, turn signal integrator harness. So it simply clicks in here. You re-engage the red lock tab there. Now that's secured. One of the more confusing things about this, again, is that you're going to take these wires and you might be concerned, oh, how do I know I'm putting the right on the right and the left on the left? They're actually different connectors. You can't get it backwards. So if you find the mating connector, this will be the female here, which means you'll take the male on the brown connector that's part of the harness and put those together. Make sure that that little locking hasp is actually engaged over the ridge on the male side, so that way it's positively retained. Same drill on what will be our right-hand side. We'll take what appears to be the male side from the bike's point of view and the female from the headlight harness view. So now everything's all installed and we've just tucked the headlight integrator harness into the ram air duct, and I'm just illustrating here that you can go ahead and pull off the turn signal at this point. You don't need that anymore. It's going to be in the headlight. So now when we reinstall the headlight assembly, you're going to just slide those two lobes underneath the ridges of both of the inside front fairing, and that allows it to kind of slide back in. From here, this is paint by numbers. You're just going to click this back in. You can pretty easily hear an audible click when you get this fully fastened. You can't hear it in here because I'm recording this as voiceover. Now we're back to these devilish little plastic push pin rivets. So I've separated the rivet here. This is the rose side, the expanding pedal side, and that's going to go in this little opening here. So it's pretty tricky to do one-handed, but with two hands and a little patience, you should be able to pop it back in. There you can see it fully seated, and now we'll take that unthreaded pin or mushroom head and just push it through the female side or the rose side of the rivet. Same deal on the opposite side, and now that reassembly is complete. Here's a little bit better look at the back side of that rivet. You can see how it's pushed through and the pedals are rosed out. Mirror goes back on. This is pretty straightforward. If you're lucky or gravity's on your side on that given day, you can actually hang them just by the exposed threads of the mirror, and then simply hand thread on the 10mm nut. Same drill on the other side. Probably a little overstated here, but I just wanted to give a couple examples, couple views on how this might go. Again, 10mm nut goes on the exposed threads inside the fairing there, and there are two posts, of course, for the mirror both. Alright, so here's our salad of bolts that retain those inner fairings. I'm shaking out of my hand the 2.5mm Allen keys because to retain the headlight assembly, you're only using the coarse thread Torx T25, so that's what I was showing you there. Here are your 1, 2, and with some difficulty 3. It's at the top middle of the frame there with the light shining on it. Opposite side of the bike. This should be a little bit easier to see. So you've got 1, 2, and way deep in there you can see the third. So here's the second, and there's the third. Alright, now moving in just to show that we've put these back in the right position. You can see the yellow marked fasteners, 1, 2. And the third is not quite visible here because of our cabling for the turn signal integrator, but on the right hand side of the bike we can see it. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, we got our inside fairing going in here. This just pops in. Only item of note here is that long slender piece that's to the aft of the video frame here, it does have some tongues and grooves. So when you install this, you can just lift and peek underneath it to make sure the slots are all lining up. You repeat that procedure on the right hand side, same job. Here you can see the turn signal's been removed. We put back in our fasteners. So there's that Torx T25, almost invisible from this point of view. 2.5mm Allen key bolt here, one more there. We'll move the bar to get a better look at it there, and then one more here at the bottom left of frame. Same thing on the opposite side of the bike, total of 4 fasteners. Okay, now finally we'll just key the bike on and we'll demonstrate the turn signals blinking. We'll let the bike complete its boot up sequence, and then we'll activate the left hand turn signal, Moving first to the rear of the bike, you can see the turn signal there. Yep. And here it is integrated in the front. You can see it blinking there. So that's our installation complete.